Board with Friends, episode 34. Clank in Space!
I mean, I'm not allowed to tell that story because Zach wants to stay on topic.
Stay on topic.
All right, well, we got a little off topic.
Again, 40%. I'm lazy, and I'm a mooch. That's what I do.
This is not that kind of podcast.
Welcome to Board with Friends, the podcast about hobby gaming and teaching people how to rob spaceships. That's all I got. I got nothing else.
It took me a second. I was like, rob spaceships? What are you talking about? Oh.
Get it? Yeah, because we're reviewing Clank in Space today.
I would like to say that we weren't robbing the spaceship. We were liberating its artifacts so that everyone could enjoy them.
That probably sounds better.
Duh.
Except we weren't working together to liberate the spaceship, the artifacts.
We were all independent contractors. We had a similar goal in mind. It was competitive, but only in the same way that the Toys R Us, what game show was it where you had the 30 minutes or the 30 seconds in Toys R Us to run around and just take whatever you wanted, but then get to the end?
I don't think that was a game show, but you could write in. You had to send a postcard in, and you could win it.
Yeah,
and then you always wanted to, but you never heard that anyone actually won those contests.
Yeah, I feel like it was just like they would just hire kids. Like, hey, go inside of this Toys R Us real quick. You can take as much stuff as you want. You can keep one thing, and then that's what you get. And I feel like that's probably how it actually went.
I always hated because when those contests were going on, I'm like, there's nothing in there I want. Like, there was nothing in there I wanted. I mean, Transformers was dead at the time. Like...
Well, I always thought, why didn't they just run over to the R Zone and take all the video games?
Ooh.
Like, were they not... or actually, back then, the games wouldn't even have been out. It would have been all the tickets. So, why didn't they just run down to that aisle and just take all the tickets for the games? Like, these are my games now. I got all the paper. This is all I need.
Have you been in a Toys R Us recently?
I went in a Toys R Us probably 2 years ago. I couldn't tell you why. I was probably shopping for something for someone for Christmas, but I'm trying to think. I don't really have that many children in my life.
I go in occasionally, and they're almost, but not quite, entirely as soulless as a Walmart.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I remember. Oh, you know what? I was looking for a game that was really hard to find, and I just kind of walked around the rest of Toys R Us to be like, man, this used to be the coolest store ever. But now it's the aisles, they're very far separated from each other. It's like, oh, look at all the bikes we have. And I feel like they just took all the lack of toys and just replaced it with bikes.
Oh, well. Anyway, hey, we're here to talk about board games.
We are. You can get them at Toys R Us.
You can. They actually, surprisingly, they have an okay selection. I mean, it's all, mostly mass market stuff, but they do have a small selection of hobby games, actually. It's all the stuff you expect, the Ticket to Ride, Carcassone's there. I've seen the Betrayal, games there.
Yeah.
Nothing really to write home about. Although I was surprised they did have New York 1901, which I've always wanted to try, but I don't feel like paying for it. I don't know if it's good enough to buy. But it was surprising that they had games like that. I think it's called New York 1901. It's got a guy on a skyscraper on it.
Okay. All right, cool.
Looked like a neat family game. But anyway, I'm Zach Dyer, and today with me, as you heard, is Sean Bissonette.
Hi, how are you?
Indeed. And as you heard earlier, we're going to be reviewing Clank in Space later on this episode. But for now, recent plays. Even though we didn't get to do what I had planned for the December episode, because there wasn't one, we were going to do kind of like a New Year's resolution thing. So I will say now, I'm starting to fulfill that resolution. My New Year's resolution was going to be that I wanted to try to introduce my oldest daughter, Lily, to more complicated games. I felt she was ready. And also, she's been begging me to teach her the more complicated games. So one of the things that she got for Christmas was actually a CCG, a collectible card game. She got the Pokemon CCG, in fact. I've never played the Pokemon card game before. Have you, Sean?
Oh, Pokemon's great. Yeah. So, I mean, did you collect the cards when we were in elementary school like everybody else did or no?
I did not, because
Okay.
all my group of friends played Magic. But
So
apparently,
you guys were
everybody
real
else in
dorks.
my circles, collected Pokemon cards, and I never had any. Go figure.
Yeah. I mean, Magic was like, which I'm surprised because I'm assuming your sister didn't play Magic because Magic was usually like if you had like an older brother, you were more like you would be the one playing Magic. But if you didn't have any significantly older siblings, you just collected Pokemon cards and just stared at them like normal late '90s elementary and middle school kids.
Nope. I found out Vanessa actually, her siblings and that's what they did. They collected the Pokemon cards and stared at them. Because I asked her when we got them, I said, "Well, you had these when you were younger. Do you know how to play?" And she said, "No, we never actually played the game." But it is the core concepts. There's some similarities to Magic. I mean, I think most CCGs are. You get your deck of cards and you draw your cards and, you play your cards. There's no tapping or anything like that. Like, I thought it was just going to be a Magic ripoff. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, it's similar. If you know how to play Magic, you can figure it out. But like you said, so many of these games are like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. They're all similar enough that if you're decent at one, you can figure the other ones out.
Well, what Lily ended up getting was a trainer deck. Trainer kit. They called it, which is appropriate. So since in Pokemon you are a trainer.
Yes.
It came with two 30-card decks, which is half the size of a normal deck. It was themed where one deck was themed around Raichu, Alolan. Yeah, however you say that. The Hawaii version of Raichu. And a character I am completely unfamiliar with called Lycanroc.
Yeah, man, Lycanroc. Was it the daytime or the nighttime one?
He looked like a werewolf, so I'm going to assume that means nighttime.
Yeah, so he was like red and white.
Yeah.
That'd be. He stood on 2 feet. That there is the midnight one. That's the nighttime one.
All right, well, now I know that. But the neat thing about this pack was, okay, you got these two 30-card decks, and each player, it comes with the play mat and all the stuff that you need to play the game. And each player's got their deck, and they are preset. You do not shuffle these decks when you take them out of the package. And it walks you through the basic mechanics of the game. It says, okay, now the Lycanroc player is going to draw their card after you've done your setup. You've got your active Pokemon, and then you've got your bench Pokemon. It's going to say, you're going to play these cards this way. And this is the Alolan Raichu player is going to draw this card now, and they're going to attack you, and it's going to hurt, and you're going to take damage, and da-da-da-da-da. And it walks you through each play all the way through to the end, and the Lycanroc player will win. Because it's predetermined that way, where that's going to happen. And it's a neat way to do it where because anytime I play games or learn a new game, I'll skim through the rules, and then I'll try to act out parts so I understand the mechanics. I'm a visual person when it comes to that. So this played right to my strengths on how to learn this game. And Lily took to it pretty well. She was upset that she lost because she chose to play as Raichu, but I did have to assure her, I'm like, it was gonna happen. It's nothing to say about your skills. And we've started to get more cards. As Vanessa put it, I think she said I was out of control.
I like that. So describe to me, Zachary, what is out of control truly
Well,
mean?
I picked up a couple booster packs anytime I went to Target or whatever. I think I bought like 3 or 4 of them. But I realized the booster packs don't give you the type of energy that you need to play the type of Pokemon that you might want to play. Because Lily already had some cards from the library and other places where they would just give these things away like candy. So she had like a bag of old cards, and there was a bunch of Pokemon in there. I'm like, oh, that would be cool if I could play as those guys, because I recognize the Gen 1 Pokemon. I know them, so I wanted to get some of those in the decks, but I didn't have the right type of energy to use. So I found that you can buy these pre-made decks, full 60-card decks, that are centered around one certain type of Pokemon, but it comes with other ones. And luckily on the back of the box, it tells you exactly what cards are in it. So I bought 2 of those, just so that we could get more energy. That's my reasoning. But those are actually a pretty good value. So we've played this game multiple times now. And, we swap decks and we change the cards around and everything like that. It gives me the same feel I got from Magic, which is why I kind of dig it. And I like that she's really enjoying it. because it's a 2-player only game, so it's something that she and I have together. It also makes my youngest very jealous because she can't read yet, so she can't play it yet. So that part is difficult, but that's a whole thing outside of the game. But yeah, Pokemon, the CCG, it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah, the Pokemon TCG, I collected the cards when I was a kid, and then a couple of years ago, Corey and his little sister were playing it, and Corey and a bunch of those guys are all obsessed with Magic. I don't know if you remember that or not about all of them, but so he was into Pokemon with his sister, and then he has an unusual number of Magic cards. But then he showed me on iOS and Android, there was just like the official like Pokemon trading card game like app where like if you have the cards in real life, like you can scan them and it gives you the cards in the game.
Yes.
But also you can buy all the pre-made decks and whatnot that you could go to the store and buy in the game. So I played that for a while, and I bought a few of the pre-made decks. And when you're trying to, build out a base, you're better off getting at least a handful of those pre-made decks before you start really digging into booster packs. So I mean, in your defense, you did the right thing, Zach, and you should let Vanessa know that like you need to have the pre-made decks before you get the booster packs because you need the skeleton of what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, all right, I feel better about it now. I mean, the part of me, like, I have, like, Pokemon that I really like, and she's found ones that she really likes from playing Pokemon Go. So, I know that ultimately she's going to want to build a deck around her favorite types of Pokemon, and I'm going to want some around my favorite types. Like, I really like Charizard, for example, so I'd like to build a deck around him. But I can't find one of those pre-made decks for him, otherwise I would just buy that. So clearly I have to go buy more boosters, right?
Wait, yes, but I also would try to find out. I remember Gen 1, like Charizard was like the card to get. Like it was like super rare, and I traded like hundreds of cards just for like a ratty like Charizard that went through somebody's like dryer. But I was so excited to have that Charizard. But I'm sure that just do a little bit of research. I'm sure that they got Charizard in the Gen 7 or whatever the hell,
he's there,
whatever they call it
at Walmart and Target and every other place that sells these things because they're everywhere. They have these giant boxes that come with like, I don't know, 15, 20 boosters or whatever, and a huge card of the featured Pokemon of the that deck. So presumably you can get cards that way. Like there's one for Tyranitar, one for Charizard, one for Blastoise, and all the other a crap ton of other ones that I don't know how to pronounce or know what their names are.
Don't worry, I got you.
I'm sure you can figure them out. But so I've looked at those, and like there was one I almost bought it. And I'm glad I didn't because I would probably not be alive today to tell you about this. But I almost bought it because it was a value pack, and it had one box centered around Charizard and the other box centered around, I think the basic Pokemon is called Stuffle, and he turns into some wearable or something. I don't know. He like evolves into this giant stuffed bear.
I
can't remember the name of it.
A pink and brown bear.
Beware or something like that.
Yeah. It's something like that. He's one of the new Pokemon. Yeah. I don't remember.
Well, Lily loves him because he came in one of the pre-made decks, and I was like, oh, she really likes him because he's cute, and he's also really powerful. Actually,
I'm pretty sure his Pokedex entry is he will bear hug you and kill you, but he loves you so much. Like something like that is its Dex entry.
So it's completely appropriate for her, and so I almost bought it just because I knew she liked him, and I wanted to build a deck around Charizard, but I couldn't find any pre-made decks that had fire energy, so I'm like, I'm gonna need fire energy if I'm gonna make a deck with Charizard. So we have like no fire energy. So right now I've stopped buying them because we're just playing with the pre-made decks until we get bored with them. I know from past experience with Magic that these things can be a very slippery slope as far as buying cards. So I'm trying to take a step back and be cautious of what I'm doing with them, because I don't want to overload her with tons of cards and then we just stop playing this game and then she's stuck with cards, like the giant box of Magic cards that I still have and haven't touched in like 3 years.
Well,
so
no, it just sounds
I'll let her get bored with what she's got, and then we'll look into more, or she can earn her own money and buy more. It's just one more thing, like, okay, you want to earn some money? Now you can go to the store and buy a pack of Pokemon cards or whatever. So
I love Pokemon, obviously, just in general, but the Pokemon cards are huge. And then, just for your knowledge, Zach, at the Target website, there is a featured deck centered around Incineroar, which is the Hawaiian fire starter, Alolan fire starter. So if you can get your hands on that, you can get yourself some fire energy.
I think I did see that once at Target.
Yeah, he's just like a luchador wrestler, but he's a fire cat.
Interesting.
Or so he's not a luchador. He's just like a regular like WWE, WCW style. He has like a fiery championship belt on, and
maybe in recognition of WWE Raw's 25th birthday, I'll get that.
There you go. It's like, oh man, Vanessa, I'm sorry.
You should be. I'm gonna blame you.
It's fine. You blame me for lots of other stuff already.
That's true.
It's not that big a deal. We can just yeah.
So going back on what I said about not buying anymore,
it was Sean's fault. It was all Sean's fault.
Speaking of which, what have you been playing?
So speaking of what's my fault. So last night we had a game night. Me, my brother, my girlfriend Amanda, and then our friend Amanda, who's a different Amanda, I promise. Actually, her nickname is her last name begins with Char, so we call her Amanda Charmander. So that's just as an aside.
Or Charmanda.
Charmanda. But we played a variant on a game that I like very, very much. So last year when we were talking about our favorite games, I said the Betrayal, House on the Hill was my favorite game of the previous year. And we played a Baulders Gate variant of Betrayal. So basically Betrayal D&D. So standard, just like the other Betrayal, just like the normal Betrayal game, you are exploring the first floor of this house, and this time it's like it's a pub, and you can go outside onto like the streets of this city and into other buildings, or you can go kind of into like the catacombs underneath the city and explore it the same way that you would explore the haunted house in Betrayal. The difference is whenever you come across an omen space, instead of just rolling all the die and trying to just beat the number of the omen, you roll, oh my goodness, it was 4. It was a 4 or 5 die. I can't remember, Zach.
You rolled the number of dice on the track, and if it didn't equal 6 or more, the haunt did not happen.
That's right. So if it was 6 or more, the haunt started. What it was.
Yeah, that was what it was. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So yeah, you roll the number of die on the track, and then if you got a 6 or higher, the haunt began. So it definitely seems like they're trying to get you to, and I don't even know. I doubt they call it the haunt because you're not in a haunted house. Whatever the heck they call it, the event, the scenario, whatever.
Well, they called it that on the omen cards, I believe. It said roll a haunt.
So they still call it a haunt roll, even though it was whatever. It doesn't matter.
Matter.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is. So they're definitely trying to get you to the haunt more quickly because your adventure is you got to fight the big bad, which I can kind of appreciate. But there is something to exploring the house and getting lots of items and having like that kind of like anxiety of like, oh, we're all rolling these, what's gonna happen now? But it's like you're rolling 6 die and you got to get less than a 6. That's probably not going to happen unless I'm rolling because I'm terrible at rolling.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was really bad. I got so many zeros. It was terrible. But that was one difference. The other major difference is because you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, instead of you just being different stereotypes or archetypes from horror, like exploring this house, you are different classes. And each class has its own unique power that you can either use once or multiple times depending on what you choose. So like I was a paladin and my power was kind of lame. I could choose to avoid an event card if I wanted to keep moving through it. If I wanted to skip an event, I could do that. That never really came to being useful. I imagine it would if you needed to run away from something during the haunt or explore more during the haunt, but when you're in the normal exploration phase, didn't really do anything. You and Amanda had cool powers. So she was a warlock and she had Eldritch Blast, which is essentially your Kamehameha of warlocks. It's the thing you're going to spam when you're attacking things. And so she could attack with one of her mental stats instead of with her physical stats, which was great because obviously Warlock traditionally not super strong, but then you were a wizard and you had magic missile, which is iconic for Dungeons and Dragons. But how did magic missile work? Was it the same as Eldritch Blast or was it something else?
It was pretty much the same. I don't know how well it would work because I never actually used it.
Okay, fair enough. But Charmander was a druid, so she could choose to turn into an animal, and that gave a bonus to whichever stat she felt like turning into that animal. And there was all sorts of stuff. So it was a neat little twist that we didn't really get a chance to take advantage of. But if we played multiple times, I'm sure we would get a chance to kind of do that. That being said, I would need to play it more to see if I like it as much or more than original Betrayal. I think there's something to the haunted house, despite loving the fantasy setting and liking D&D. There's something to the exploring the haunted house that I think is a little bit neater than exploring random dungeon and then fighting troll that we killed in 2 hits by accident. But I mean, I know you had thoughts and feelings on the experience.
I did. I mean, comparing the two, I definitely would have to say I like the haunted house version better. Just because the original version a little bit better. It just, the theme seemed to fit more. This one, because it was Dungeons and Dragons, and now that we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, plug for Critical Failure, our other podcast. This just, it felt empty. I mean, you don't actually get to do any of the role-playing aspects of it, but you're still rolling dice and potentially not getting anywhere.
True, yeah.
So, like, a lot of times we're like, okay, well, we got to roll to see if when the troll came or whatever. Like, all right, roll and see if I get what type of, if it's lightning or if the rooms become on fire or if rocks fall in the tomb that we were in. And so, okay, lightning strike. Now you got to roll to see if you dodge it. Nope, rolled a bunch of blanks. Okay, I didn't dodge it. Then you roll to see how much the lightning hit you. Oh, I rolled a blank, so nothing actually happened. A big nothing happened. So, I don't know. And there was no, saying, what I was going to do. There was no role-playing, okay, I'm going to run up behind that troll and I'm going to stab him with my dagger while I, shove my wand in his nose, Harry Potter reference. None of that actually, that part that actually makes D&D interesting, none of that's in this game. The interesting part is in the beginning of the game, I feel, just like with Betrayal of the House on the Hill, where you're exploring, you're opening up tiles ooh, what's going to be next? That's kind of fun, and flipping over the cards and reading what the event cards and the omen cards, what they do. But ultimately, I didn't feel like anything actually happened in that game. We beat the troll by accident, as you said, and, you almost killed your girlfriend twice in it.
Hey.
All right, we all contributed to almost killing her. Because she was stuck in the room with the troll and couldn't move. She couldn't leave. There was no mechanic that let her get away. So every single round, at least in this scenario with the troll, between each player, the troll attacked, and he attacked her. So there was nothing she could do.
Something I think would have been a little bit better. I mean, because it was the homunculus, which is the item, the omen card that triggered everything. Basically, it's you get this little fleshy, gross golem to follow you around, and it increases your physical stats. I think it would have made more sense if it was something like the maybe like the dog in Betrayal, where you could send it off, because then maybe you could have somehow used it as a distraction, so it would try to. Maybe it would have just murdered the person it spawns on top of, because the troll was just attacks the closest person. Okay, well the closest person is the one who spawned it, because it starts on the spot where it was discovered. So that's not very cool.
Yeah, there was no way to get around that. We had 5 players playing this game. It took the entire going around for her to do it, and then your brother talked her into staying and fighting it when it did come to her turn, which was hysterical.
Yeah.
And I'm really I want to keep exploring. I want to look for more stuff. And we're all no, we got to go attack this troll with what we got, And luckily you found some fire and threw it at it, and you wailed on it and almost killed it in one shot.
I get, for some reason, this my orc paladin was like the fastest thing alive because you could discover alchemist fire and throw it at it, and if it took fire damage, it couldn't recover its HP. So actually, just take a step back. Every turn, the troll would recover 1 HP if you had dealt normal damage to it. But if you attacked it with fire, its maximum health its maximum health also went down in addition to its HP going down. So I threw the fire at it, which had to attack with speed, just like the gun does in normal Betrayal. And for some reason, my paladin speed was 5. I rolled a 5. It rolled a 0. It had 6 HP, so it was down to 1 and couldn't go above 1 on the first attack that we had. And then Ryan was a monk and punched it, and it died.
Yeah. The only thing I would say gives me a little bit of hope for this game is one of the cards I got. It was an Omen card. It gave me the ability to instill fear in people who were 1 space away. So if they tried to enter my space, they had to do like a roll check to see if they could even do it. So I imagine with more cards out, there would be more special powers and abilities that you could do. And we just didn't have that combination come out in this game.
Yeah, and
so it made it a little boring.
Yeah, and like I was saying, I would definitely need to play it more. I don't think I loved Betrayal the first time I played it. It was, I probably played that game, I don't know, 30 to 40 times. Like, yeah, I've done a lot. I played this one
There's
once,
a ton of scenarios, too, so we just played this one.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to fully judge this game. I'm just saying I didn't like it that first try. So
yeah. I mean, I had fun, and I definitely would have done a second round, but it was, Amanda Charmander didn't really get to do much of anything. My Amanda just got beat up by a troll, and then me, you, and Ryan, you were stuck in the basement by yourself, and then Ryan and I were running around outside.
Yeah.
So not a whole hell of a lot happened.
Not really.
Yeah, but Betrayal. If you like Betrayal, you'll like it. If you like D&D, take out the role-playing part.
Which kind of defeats the purpose, I think.
And the skill checks. And yeah, that's true. Your skill check is random. I guess it's random in D&D too, but there's fewer.
Yeah, there just didn't feel like any choice in the game, which kind of... It was a random fest. So I guess, if you like rolling dice, you could try it. The miniatures are cool.
If you like rolling dice, the ultimate dice simulator.
It's like Tenzi, only with, little miniatures that move along a board.
Well, there you go.
All right. Next up for me, continuing the theme of games I play with my daughter, I introduced her to Mice and Mystics from Plaid Hat Games. Now, I have owned this game for 2 years now, I think, maybe 3. But we haven't played it yet because I was waiting for my kids to be old enough to try this. This is essentially, it's described as a role-playing game in a box. It's very story-driven, so each scenario is a chapter, and there's actually an actual story that you get to read. You can read it out loud or read it to yourself, whatever. As you complete each scenario, you get to read the next chapter of the book. It's only like 1 or 2 pages, so don't go crazy if you don't like to read. But it's really fun. We've played the first chapter so far, and we've been enjoying it. You take on the role of these mice. They were humans who are transformed into mice. Because the castle that they were in, this is not a spoiler for anyone who hasn't actually played this game yet, the castle has been taken over by this wicked queen who, seduced the king. So the prince and the house wizard and a couple others who are sent to the dungeons. And the only way out, the house wizard, Maginos, I believe is his name, he decides to change them all into mice. So they shrink down into mice and they escape through the drain. And the evil queen, who also is magical, realizes what they've done, and she shrinks her guards down into rats and sends them after them. So that's how the game starts. And it was neat. The first scenario is pretty simple. It just teaches you the basic mechanics like you do, how to move, how to attack, and then, the basics of searching and stuff like that. So these boards, it's neat. When you set up the player area, you have these boards with beautiful artwork on it. And you can, there's all like tiles and cobblestones and stuff like that, so you know all the spaces that you can move in and out of. And there's always two sides to the board. So if you're on the castle side, you can flip it over and you can be in the catacombs or in the sewers or whatever. And so you can pop up in different places depending on where you are. Like at one point, we're in these tunnels that are clearly made by other mice, they decide, and there's a little ladder that goes up into the kitchens, presumably so the mice could go and steal food. And they hear the kitchen, the cook scream because there's roaches in the kitchen, so you decide to go help her, or you have a choice to go help her if you want. So we went up into the kitchen and we were able to beat up the roaches, and we were attacked by a cat, and so it was fun. Lily was really enjoying it. She was really excited to play this game. Mainly, I think the biggest draw for her was there is a character in it named Lily who you don't get right away, so she was a little upset by that, but she was very eager to get to the chapter where we get to rescue Lily so she could play as her. But we were having a lot of fun. We did mess up some rules because we forgot to choose abilities at the beginning, but you get to find items and they buff you up, and so you can use it so you can roll more dice, because it is a dice rolling game. When you're attacking enemies, you roll dice for everything basically, and the dice are neat because they're custom and they have different symbols on them to represent different things. So if you're rolling a search check, you roll the dice and you want to get a little burst symbol in the corner, and that shows that you successfully searched. Or if you're attacking, if you're doing a melee attack, you want swords. If you're doing a ranged attack, you want bows. You want cheese, because cheese is the currency in the game, so you can level up and do your special powers and stuff like that. It's really cute. And as much as I don't like dungeon crawls and dice rolling and luck, as we just talked about, the fact that she was really enjoying this and the story is so well crafted, I actually was having fun with this one. As a family game and as a game to play with your kids, this is adorable, and the miniatures are gorgeous. Like everything about it just like screams gorgeous production.
I have never played this game, but I have heard it talked about a lot. You've probably told me initially when you bought it. My brothers told me about it.
Nope, I didn't buy this one.
Oh, okay.
This was a gift to me, but
oh, okay, cool. But I mean, I've heard a lot about this game, but I've never played it. And it just, you'd think, just one random aside, you'd think that if the evil queen wanted to stop the prince and the wizard and all these other folks, she would just leave her guards normal and then just kill the mice. That's
a thought that crossed my head too, but they did escape to the sewers, so she had to have them chase after them.
Okay, that plot hole filled. But otherwise, I've heard a lot of good things about this game, and I've wanted to try it for a while. I gotta find out if my brother has it. He probably does, because my brother has lots of games. But I've always wanted to try it, and it sounds cool. I like it, and I like the
fun.
Little story that goes along with it. It's not just like, oh, you're mice now, go get the queen.
Nope. The chapters are fun. I'm eager to see what the story is, as it goes on and on, because I've heard it's not a masterpiece of written book, but it is good especially for this. This, I don't know if it's the first game of its kind, but it's definitely popular. There's multiple expansions, so the story keeps going. There's a spin-off game for this. It was, I cannot remember. I think it's called Tail Feathers. Where the mice are riding on birds. It's very similar to like
that's cool.
X-Wing, style, where you have the birds in flight and you gotta move them along paths so you can attack each other. I don't know how well that game did is sales wise, but it beautiful sculpts. I remember seeing pictures of them and thinking, wow, I would play that. But I already have X-Wing, and I don't want to buy more stuff that I repeats of things. There's another game that just came out, or it's about to be out, called Stuffed Fables, that if Mice and Mystics goes over well with my kids, I might look into that as like a sequel game to play with them. That one looks really cool. It's about you are all playing as stuffed animals, and you're trying to protect your child, your owner.
Yeah, you're trying to protect Andy.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. The little girl is asleep, and you have to protect her from, like, bad dreams or something like that. It looks adorable. I mean, it's different mechanics, but the same idea, where it's a story-driven game. You get to read the next chapter and move forward in the book. So that might be the next one that we try after Mice and Mystics. But we got a while to go, because we're only on chapter 1, and I think there's 12 chapters in this, and there's lots of side quests and stuff like that. So this could take us a little while.
Oh, geez. Wow, that's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Plus, I've been told I have to paint it by Lily. She wants to paint it with me. And
there you go. That'll be cool.
Oh, yeah, it'd be cool. My track record for painting is I got halfway through Zombicide. I still haven't painted the 4 Doctors in Doctor Who. And I think I got 4 monsters done in Blood Rage. So I don't have the best track record as far as painting miniatures goes.
Just give him the Walt. He'll just do it.
I could, but he'd probably ask me to pay him.
Hey, didn't he just paint the Ghostbusters ones?
That was his copy.
Oh.
All right.
Well, then. Never mind.
So that's Mice and Mystics from Plaid Hat Games.
And then
the
other game I played, Zach, you're never going to guess what it was.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. What was it?
Here we go. It wasn't Jackbox Party Pack. I didn't play it at all.
Oh, thank goodness.
I didn't play it. I wanted to.
You
In
tried.
Fact, I made the joke yesterday. I was like, oh man, I can play Jackbox 4. I haven't played it yet. We played Tiny Epic Quest.
Yay!
Last night, which I know you and Devin reviewed a couple of months ago, right?
Back in July or August, one of those.
Time's weird. Anyways, it feels like it was not that long ago, but I guess was a while ago. Well, this is the first time I played the game. I played Tiny Epic Galaxies, probably, way back when we reviewed that. But Tiny Epic Quest I had never played before. And I really liked it. So, you start off, there's 2 phases, a day phase and a night phase. The day phase, you're taking your 3 little meeples and you're moving them to different areas of the map. You can set up to fight goblins. You can go to explore a temple. You can go and get, magical power, all sorts of stuff. You're exploring during the day. And then at night, you are, going forward with wherever it is you're doing. So whether you're exploring the temple, you're fighting the goblins, or you're getting the magic, or whatever else that's happening. But as you complete these temples, you're also kind of gaining experience, unlocking these little weapons that give you different bonuses. There are quests that you can complete in order to get additional weapons. And I thought it was cool because essentially your inventory is your hands. So you have 6 hands, so you can have 6 things, and kind of finding different combinations to kind of give yourself an advantage over everybody else. And it's a test your luck kind of thing. I know that everybody who's listening to this knows this because they already listened to that other episode, and you explained it much better than me.
Debatable.
Yeah, fair enough. But you probably did, because I'm jumping around a lot. But I enjoyed the game a lot. The first round, it took us a very long time. It probably took a half an hour to do the first round, and then another probably 45 minutes to do the other 4 rounds. So it took us a little while. My brother, Charmanda, and myself, a while to get the hang of exactly what we were doing. But I'm happy to report, everybody, for the first time, I think, ever on this show, I won a game.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
I won. First time ever. Every episode for the last 3 years, you hear me complaining about how the game was good, but I'm not good at it. Or the game was good, but this was my first time and I wasn't very good. And Zach or Devin or Walt or somebody else wins, and I'm just like, well, I had fun. I like hanging out with my friends, but guess what? I won!
How much did you win by?
1 point, but I'm pretty sure that 1 point means I got first place.
It does, yes.
And that's the only one that matters, Zach.
It was a good game. I got stuck on the last round. I was going to push my luck, and you and your brother just decided to drop out like you do. So I was taking all the damage because, as you were saying, during the night phase, you roll these dice, and normally the way it happens is if you roll the goblin face dice, you take damage. But you only take damage for the first die. If you roll 2, the next player in turn order takes that damage. If you roll 3, it just keeps going around the table, so you share the damage. Which makes it really fun, I feel, because everybody's in it. Everybody's cheering for good rolls. They obviously want you to roll the stuff that they need, but they also don't want to see those things come up. Well, when everybody decides to rest and you're the only one there and you roll a bunch of damage, it's not good. You also take damage if there's too much magic in the air. You start to take damage when you roll the mushrooms to generate magic. So that's what was happening, and I had decided, you know what? I've done a good job. I've got a good balance here. I've, killed a whole bunch of goblins because I'd never gone that strategy route before. So I said, I'm going to rest. I'm not going to push my luck and fail this and lose the progress I've made. Well, I ended up losing by 1 point, so I guess I should have tried one more roll. It couldn't have killed me, right?
I mean, it
could have killed me, but
you would have been you would have gotten second place. Granted, you didn't know that you were going to be down by 1 point, but
yeah.
I mean, really, what it was is the extra quests that you can do. I just paid more attention to those than you or my brother did, because my brother didn't do any until the very end of the game when he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing these."
I gave up on one that he was vying for that would have gotten him 2 quests in one shot. I should have kept going for it, but I decided to leave it for him and go somewhere else because he had gone to on the board, on the different places you can go, there are these mushroom grottos, and they let you do special things, and one of them lets you move a item meeple forward on its progress track at a temple to win a quest. So he went there twice to move his meeple 2 ahead of mine. So it would have been very difficult for me to beat the quest before him. I don't know. I just felt like, oh, he's got no quests. I'll go do something else. I can get some points elsewhere. I shouldn't have, but I did it.
Yeah.
Either way, it was a well-fought game. You clearly picked up the game after the first round pretty quickly. And I know Charmanda had to leave early, so we had to kind of take her out of the game. But it was actually quite... She gave a good response. She said she had wished we had started with Tiny Epic Quest because she was liking it.
Yeah. And
so I assume that's good praise for it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I would have liked to have done this before we slayed the troll.
Mm.
But it was a great game.
I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you finally got to play it because I've always sung this game's praises. It was one of my favorite games last year. It got edged out by a few others. We didn't end up doing in the December episode, saying what our favorite games of the year were. Yeah. This was definitely in my top 5. And I still like playing it because once you do know the rules, it plays very quickly. And it's absolutely my favorite of the Tiny Epic games so far.
Of the 2 I played, it's my... Of the 2, I like it most.
But yeah, that's Tiny Epic. Oh, I wrote in the show notes. I wrote Galaxies, but you knew I meant Quest.
Oh, I know what I know what I played yesterday. I know. I
just realized in the show notes I put the wrong game.
Literally 24 hours ago, I know what I played.
One of these nights, I keep saying this. I've said it with Devin several times now, and I'm saying it with you. We have to schedule a game night where we just play all the Tiny Epics. I just feel like that has to happen because they're all good games. I like Western, probably my least favorite of the 3, but I know Devin really likes that one, and I like Galaxies a lot, and we never get it to the table anymore. So,
yeah, no, I'd like to. I'd be down. I mean, and it could be like a. We could just do a Tiny Epic marathon.
Yeah,
just have that be an episode. Tiny Epic everything.
A Tiny Epic night. Maybe we'll do a live playthrough on our budding YouTube channel.
Boom. There you go.
Go visit And All the Nerdy Fun. It's all the same stuff you hear in audio form, but also on YouTube. And I've started fiddling with making video reviews using an application on my phone. I think it came out pretty good. I know a friend of the show, Scott, tweeted at me and said it was very good, especially for being done on a phone. So I'm really hoping that is something I get to do more often.
Absolutely.
But speaking of Tiny Epics... Did you see the link I sent you for a certain Kickstarter that Gamelyn Games has launched?
Did you see the thing that I sent you and said, yo, look at this? And then I said, dude, that's a really cool trailer. Yes, I did see it, Zach.
I was trying to keep a sense of mystery because this is an audio form, and I wanted to, pretend that I didn't know that you had actually seen it.
No, I know.
But you've ruined it. So, we'll just go into that.
I didn't say what it was. I said I liked it. And you said, I mean, you kind of ruined it, but,
I said, did you see it? And you said you already sent me a message saying you liked it.
So Tiny Epic Zambonis. It's the newest game by, who makes the Tiny Epic series again?
Gamelyn Games.
Gamelyn Games, their new thing. You are in a hockey rink. You put down all the tiles. It's all the tiles. It's a very oddly shaped hockey rink, and it's your job to clean off all the ice, the best. So what happens is whoever gets the highest percentage. So it's kind of like Mario Party when you're trying to make the face. Whoever does the best job of being the most efficient with their ice rink wins the game. It's only one round. It's really. You get the meeple and you put it inside of this little Zamboni and you push it along.
It's a little wooden Zamboni. And it's an item meeple, too. They got brooms. So you can actually, there's a second mini game where you can play curling. Tiny Epic Curling. Where
it's great.
The item meeple holds the broom, and then another one's got a little the little puck. And it's great.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Oh my God.
It's a great game.
Oh, we got to send that idea to Gamelyn Games. They would love that. No, I was talking about Tiny Epic Zombies.
Well, I watched a totally different trailer then.
Yeah, I thought I sent you the right one. Tiny Epic Zombies is out on Kickstarter literally right now as we record. I'm pretty sure they're well beyond funded. I get emails of the stretch goals that they've reached now.
Let me look it up.
It's basically, it's like a simplified and probably a much cooler version of Zombicide, I feel. I might get some haters for saying that. But it uses the item meeples, which I loved a lot in Tiny Epic Quest. If you want to hear me just rave about them, go listen to our review episode of that. But this one, it's even cooler because the item meeples are holding, chainsaws and guns and crossbows and pipes and, all the trope weapons from zombie movies. And it looks like it plays pretty quickly. You got actions to move your item meeples around the mall that you're in. You got to collect items, and there's different scenarios that you can play. It's got multiple play modes of cooperative, semi-cooperative. You can have a one versus many mode. It just looks really cool. I gotta say, I don't know if I'm going to like it when I actually get to play it, because so far I have not liked a game of this type. But the item meeples alone are, I feel, worth the price of admission. And even if I don't like it as much as the other Tiny Epics, I'd be happy to have this one in my collection. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually look at the Kickstarter at all. I just watched the trailer. But now that I'm actually on the Kickstarter looking at it, they're up to almost $500,000 from their $15,000 goal.
Good on you, Gamelyn Games.
Oh, my goodness. What the heck are they going to do with all that money?
They're going to make the game with it.
With $500,000?
Well, they keep adding more stuff into it. I don't know. I read a great breakdown of how you actually make money in a Kickstarter. So, it's not like they're banking $500,000.
Oh, no. Of course not. I mean, and Kickstarter takes whatever percentage that they take, and I'm sure that there are people they have to pay back who did something for them. I don't know.
Well, they have to pay the designer. They got to pay for the artwork. They got to pay for the production.
Exactly.
You got to pay the shipping. You got to pay the all that nonsense.
But it's like at this. So they're at the point. There's only 2 more stretch goals. So they're gonna add another character at 515, and then at 550, looks like they're gonna add an Uzi.
So they get that.
They added a crossbow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
The golf club is my favorite. I think that got added too.
Yep, golf club at 410. Man, there's a lot of they added a lot of characters. Holy crap. Well, I mean, when you get that much money, it's like, okay, what's every expansion we were ever going to do? Let's just do it right now.
I feel like if I end up really liking this game, I can easily get rid of Zombicide. Because I haven't played it since we reviewed it. And I didn't like it that much. So, anybody want a copy of Zombicide? It's half painted.
It's happening just like everything else.
Yes.
Zombicide, I feel like Zombicide was fine.
It was fine. But it was another, you move your character, you shoot, you kill, or whatever. You look through a deck of cards. I don't know. So far I've discovered I don't really like those kinds of games. This one I feel because it's action point oriented, and there's some I don't know. I just feel like I might like this one. That is Tiny Epic Zombies. So if you're a big zombie fan and you don't have enough of those in your life, go check that out.
And if you like Zambonis, please sure to check out my Kickstarter when Gamelyn Games, but I'm going to spell it slightly differently, is going to be Tiny Epic Zambonis. You can look for that in the winter of whenever the next Winter Olympics is. I don't know when that is. When is the next Winter Olympics? I don't have very long. I only have until February 9th to make this game. I didn't realize that the Winter Olympics was this year.
Yes, it is. I didn't want to say anything.
Well then, Pyongyang.
Yeah, it's in South Korea this year.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, you can catch me in Pyongyang with Tiny Epic Zambonis.
Yeah, so tweet at Uncommon Soap with the hashtag Tiny Epic Zambonis if you want to see this game made on Kickstarter.
And also, if anybody can draw a meeple on a Zamboni and then tweet that at me and Gamelyn Games.
Yes. Let them know that they need to make an expansion. Maybe the Tiny Epic Zambonis could be an expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for that. I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. I'm sure Gamelyn Games, they'll appreciate our creativity here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely the first person who's made that joke. 100%.
Get on it, internet.
Boom.
Prove him wrong.
Do it. Oh, man, that's so good.
All right. So we're going to run over to the rules breakdown of our review game today. Clank in Space!
Space! The final frontier.
I actually wrote it that way in the show notes. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it's review. Clank in Space!
Clank in Space is a deck-building game published in 2017 from Renegade Games and designed by Paul Dennen. In Clank in Space, you take on the roles of thieves infiltrating the evil Lord Erraticus' ship in order to steal his prized trophies right out from under him. Each player starts with a basic deck of 10 cards. On your turn, you will draw 5 cards from that deck and play them out in any order you wish. The cards will grant you movement, heal you, give you buying power for more cards, fighting power to stop enemies, and generate clank. As a deck builder, you spend card value to buy better cards and place them into your deck, customizing the way you play. You move your pawn throughout Erraticus' ship, making your way to his trophies. There are locked doors you must hack, teleports to move you from one section to another, power-ups to discover, and security checkpoints you get stuck at. There's even a conveyor belt you can hop on to expedite your excursion. Once you've gotten a trophy, you head back to the cargo bay, hop in an escape pod, and get out of Dodge, hoping you don't die in the attempt. The winner is any surviving player with the most points from credits, cards, and trophies you've liberated. Now, why is this game called Clank? Well, throughout the game, you perform actions that make noise. This is represented by clank cubes. If you cause clank, you put your cube in the designated area. When certain cards that have Lord Erraticus' symbol on them come out for purchase, it means he attacks. All the cubes go into the bag. If your color is drawn, you take damage. Too much damage, and you get knocked out. Now, if you manage to get to the cargo hold and off the ship, great. Then you get to draw cubes every turn, upping the tension for all players still on the ship. This is a very basic overview of the game, but if it sounds exciting, and trust me it is, you're going to have a good time with this game. Now let's get back to the rest of the friends and find out more about Clank in Space! And we're back talking about Clank in Space! I shortened it that time because I'm tired of doing it. Yeah, this is Clank in Space from Renegade Games. I initially got to try out this game at PAX Unplugged, which Devin and I attended with Dale in November. We talked about that in our last full episode. So if you want to listen to that extremely long talk about the experience at the convention, we didn't touch too much on Clank in Space because I knew immediately after playing it that we were going to review this game because it was that good. Yeah. It's basically Clank in Space is you are thieves on a ship led by the evil Draconis. No, Draconis is from the Mighty Ducks cartoon. I really don't remember the name of the bad guy in it. Eradicus, I think.
Bad guy. I put bad buy.
Eradicus, that's who it is.
It was not a bad buy. It was a great buy.
Yes. His spaceship, you're getting in there trying to get some relics off of it, and he's attacking you the whole time. So the idea behind the Clank games is, and why they're called Clank, the first one was originally a dungeon game. You're delving into the dungeon, you're trying to get treasure away from the dragon and other creatures that are down there, and you're trying to get the heck out of Dodge before you die. And anytime you do anything that makes noise, you add clank to the pool. And if you have to get attacked, all the clank, which are represented by colored cubes, get put into the bag. And then you shake up the bag, and then you take out the designated number of cubes, and that causes whoever's cube comes out damage. Clank being a deck builder combined with this adventuring aspect is really cool. It gets great reviews. Clank in Space is like that, except in space, with some twists and turns and stuff like that. I've never actually played the original Clank, but I've heard nothing but good about it. The reason I wanted this one because I like the space theme better, so I was really happy that they did that. It's just cool. What do you think about it, Sean? Like the components and your overall impression of it?
So I liked it a lot. I've played a few deck builder games. We played them for the show too. But the only deck builder game that I played a lot of would be Dominion. And Dominion is, the deck building aspect, but without moving on the board. I was a little concerned that it was going to be a lot going on, but it was pretty easy to pick up, and it was pretty straightforward. And it was, in no time you're pulling off some pretty cool combos with all the different cards you're going to pick up. I like the game a lot. It's definitely one of my favorite games that I've played recently for the first time. I like it. I like it a lot. And I like both games that we talked about during our recent plays. I think I might like Clank. I definitely like Clank more than both of them, even though I did like both Betrayal and Tiny Epic Quest. But I also like deck builders a lot.
That's true. I mean,
I like Dominion a lot.
Yeah, I mean, deck builders are pretty popular. I have played a few as well. We played, Venom Assault, which we reviewed on the show. I've played Marvel Legendary and a few others. I've actually never played Dominion, now that I think about it. But deck building by itself, like Dominion is pure deck building. You're just... Yeah. You use cheap cards to buy better cards to get points at the end of the game, basically, from what I understand. And I mean, there's really cool combos that you can come up with, and I know that. Like, I'm not ragging on Dominion for people who have played it. I would probably like it if I tried it. But this one, the whole aspect of exploring the ship and the rules about movement and the amazing references to science fiction pop culture in this game make it a really fun experience. And because you're choosing, the whole deck building aspect, you're choosing the cards that are going into your deck, you really get to customize how you want to play the game, which is neat. Like if you want, you can get a lot of cards that make it so you reduce the amount of clank that you're putting in the bag. You can get a lot of cards that help you recover health so that if your cubes are pulled out of the bag and you get hurt a lot, you can fix that. You can get a lot of cards that help you with movement, or cards that help you with attacking if you want to be really aggressive in the game. You're not attacking other players. You do attack Eradicus's minions. But
minions and robots and stuff, yeah.
It's just there's a lot of different ways to go about it. Plus, you didn't get to see this part of it, but the board is actually modular, so you can flip pieces over, and it changes the pathways and changes where stuff is, which is pretty cool.
I didn't realize we could have done it in a different order. I thought that's just what it was.
Nope.
That's cool.
That's why it was a puzzle when you put it together, because some of the pieces can be flipped around, and you can change all that, which is pretty neat. I mean, overall, it was we're giving our final thoughts right now, I guess, but it was a cool experience. If you like deck builders, this game is fantastic. I know the original Clank gets good reviews. This one, the first game that we played it, I mean, we were having so much fun. Like the jokes abound of like, you die because you can die in this game. There is player elimination, but we were just saying like, oh, I'll drag your corpse off the ship and stuff like that. That would probably be, if I had to say, my one criticism though. It does stink when you get knocked out, as I'm sure you can attest to, Sean.
Yeah, I was so the first game I've won in regards to the show, Tiny Epic Quest. The first game I almost won, this game. I definitely was in a great position to get all sorts of cool stuff done, but then Zach and my brother opted into getting the less awesome treasure on the opposite side of the room, and I was left to die all alone in the cold, harsh vacuum of space with all my ironic cards, littered about the ground next to my corpse. I didn't appreciate that. I thought that even though this was a competitive game, you guys would have been cool or something, but you weren't, and that's fine.
Now, if you had made it to the hangar, which is the last section of the ship, we could have dragged you off the ship. We would have been that nice, but you didn't make it to the hangar, so we didn't.
No, yeah. So I mean, it was my own hubris that got me in the end. I was like, oh, I'm going for the big thing. I'm already I already might win. This is gonna be nail in the coffin. I'm getting the coolest treasure out here, and then you guys are gonna just bask in my glory. It didn't work out. It was like you going for that there extra stuff at the end of Quest, so it just all kind of fell apart. But overall, I really, really love the game. Literally every card, and there's dozens of different cards. Literally all of them is some kind of reference to something. So all the way from Chris Tucker in The Fifth Element, all the way to Star Trek, to Star Wars, to everything.
They had Ender's Game. They had Doctor Who. They had Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There was references to pretty much every sci-fi franchise known to man in this game. Obviously, skirting copyright infringement, with the graphics, but you knew who things were. Stitch was in there. So much stuff. It was great. I will say I played this game multiple times now. I did introduce it to Vanessa and some of our friends. They were enjoying it. Vanessa's feedback on it when we finished playing was she felt like she worked so hard and had fun building up her deck and, getting to where she wanted to be, but she also died before getting out of the ship. And she felt like it was all for nothing. And that left her with a little bit of a bitter taste about it, but she did like the actual gameplay. In that game, our friend Rachel made it to the hangar bay. I don't believe she got out. She didn't get on an escape pod. But she did what you did. She grabbed the most valuable artifact, the captain's chair, and tried to get out with that. And even though she didn't make it out, because she had that valuable artifact, she almost won. Because I got into the escape pod, when you get to the escape pod, you get an extra 20 points at the end of the game. And so I ended up beating her because of that, by only a few points. Because I got the Game Boy, the least expensive artifact, the least valuable one, and I got the heck out of Dodge right away. And I got off the ship. And that's really cool, because when you get off the ship, or if you get knocked out, you're just drawing cubes from the bag, and you're making it hell for everybody else in the game, because that on your turn, that's all you do. You just immediately draw 4 cubes out of that bag, and it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it certainly did. I did not survive at all once all that kind of once that all kind of popped off. It was all done.
Yeah. It's just funny because the first time we played this at PAX, I was playing with Devin and Scott and some other groups from Ape Games. The 4 of us were playing this game, and the tension was so high because you're so scared of pulling those cubes out of that bag. You think you're gonna die, and Devin must have had almost every cube he had in that bag at one point, and he still somehow defied all the laws of logic and was not getting his cubes pulled. It was insane. And the same thing kind of happened in our game. You know, your brother had a ton of cubes in there, and it was just not pulling. But eventually, it came back and, you know, got him, and it got you as well.
True. Yeah, to me, it was the point where I was like, "There's no way I have any Clank in there." But then then it would be. So, you know, it had been in there so long that I legitimately forgot about it. But yeah, my brother had like what seemed like all of his cubes in that bag, and they didn't get pulled for the longest time, and he just kept testing his luck.
Now, did he made it to the hangar, right?
He made it to the hangar,
and then he
got knocked out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he made it because you and him were on the same space, but then you went into the escape pod that was right next to us, so he had to like go back out and then back in to get into a different one.
Ah, that's right.
So then that's when he got knocked out.
I pulled a Spaceballs, and so I was the bear. I got into the escape pod first.
And you left the president there.
I did.
Was it Mel Brooks that got left there, or was it somebody else?
They all got left there.
Well, I know they all did, but who was actually like he debating with? The bear. Like, who was the bear talking to? And
I think it was like, Mel Brooks' character. I don't remember. I haven't seen Spaceballs in a while. I should watch that.
It was either Rick Moranis or Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
So probably Mel Brooks. It's been a very long time since I saw Spaceballs, the movie.
The Spaceballs. Watch out. Good show. Good movie.
Spaceballs the show.
I think they referenced Spaceballs in it too, actually. Probably.
Oh, it had to have. If it didn't, I'd be so surprised.
But yeah, I mean, Renegade knocks it out of the park so far. I mean, we reviewed Pie Town in November for the PAX Unplugged episode. I loved that. You know, it was a really good family-style game. This game, I don't know if it's my favorite deck builder, but it's definitely up there. I love the exploration aspect of it. I think it's a good mashup of, you know, like a strategic, you know, board game of moving around and, you know, getting stuff done. Like the way the board works and moving around and, you know, solving the puzzles and all the stuff that you have to do, and your deck building to get the things to do it. It's just everything meshes so well. It's so good. Yeah,
I loved it. I'd be down to play it again, just like for funsies. But you know, like we've been saying, you know, we said it when we wanted to play all the tiny epic games in one night, but we need to have more game nights like last night, where it wasn't to review this month's game, it was just to play the game. Because now that I don't live with my brother or Mike, I don't play nearly as many games as I used to. It was like all of the shows I was on last year. You know, we made the Jackbox joke, but it's like I haven't gotten to play that much stuff since not living with my brother anymore. So got to get back into it.
I'm down. Hey, if you want to help me finish my basement, we will have an all the nerdy fun headquarters. And then
you don't want me to do anything involving construction.
Fair enough.
It won't. It will not end well.
Listen, if you look at the drywall I have put up and the gaps in it,
when years ago when we redid my parents' basement, my dad and I were in charge of doing the tile on the floor. I would say about a third of the tiles we somehow put in upside down. And
how is that possible?
I don't know, but we did. Just hush. And also, the other thing we did was any tile bordering the wall, and we would cut it, and then if it was still slightly too big, we would stomp on it until it would go under the baseboard. So, my father and I are not allowed to do anything construction related. I was demoted to like holding basically, so my grandfather and my mom could like do the walls. I would like hold stuff so they could do the drywall. Like you hold this, we're doing all the work. And I'm like, okay, I can stand here. So that's about all I'm good for.
That's amazing.
I had to just stomp them down. My mom was so angry. Oh my goodness. She pried all those tiles back up and redid them herself. I was like, and my dad was like, well, what? You told us to do it, so we did it. And it was like, not like that, which in hindsight, that was terrible for us to do. But we just wanted it done.
All right. Never mind. I retract it. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, you know.
I've been working on it for like 3 years. Eventually, I'll get this done.
It'll get there. It'll get there. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm redoing my basement. We had that when we first started the show, and we played a couple games in the basement, and it was like when it was still not finished with all your stuff down there. You're like, I'm gonna finish this basement, and now we're here.
Yeah, I will say with all the empty space and the walls and the ceiling being open, it still looks better than when I bought it, the house.
Yeah, fair enough. I remember there was stuff written all over the walls.
Yeah, it was weird. It had that ugly bar that looked like it was made out of driftwood. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the Christmas colors and the really disturbing things I found on the ceiling. Anyway, PG show, I won't go into that. So, anyway, back to Clank in Space. Highly recommended from Renegade Games. You should definitely check it out. Oh, man. Any final thoughts, Sean? Anything else you want to plug?
No, I mean, so, obviously Bored with Friends and Critical Failure. So every other Friday. So by the time you guys are listening to this, our entire pilot arc, prequel arc, whatever you want to call it, will be up. And then on February 2nd, 2018 is when the real adventure will begin. So, Critical Failure, where we're playing D&D, and I'm a DM, and I'm writing a story. It's as original as I can make it, with lots of references to movies and TV shows and other pop culture, because I'm not that original. But I think it's turning out very okay so far.
I mean, I'm still playing it, so yeah, I'm having fun.
Boom, there we go. And plus, there's a kobold named George, and he's a great, fantastic character.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that'll be this Friday.
That was my shining moment.
Yeah, Chuck Finley and George.
Actually, that's going to air before this does. So.
Yeah, that's going to air 2 days before this does.
So people have already met George if they're listening to Critical Failure, and we're talking about it now.
You already got George and Chuck Finley. They have a beautiful, beautiful budding relationship, a business relationship, not a romantic one. And we'll see where that goes, in the future. I mean, when you're listening to this, you already know how it turned out for now. But I already got plans for George.
Oh, I'm excited.
Or do I?
I don't know. I don't want to know. Spoilers.
Yeah, true. I can't spoil it. You gotta play it in the moment.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this show, why not check out some of the other projects on the And All the Nerdy Fun Network, including Critical Failure, a show where a bunch of people with absolutely no experience with RPGs decide to sit down and try Dungeons & Dragons. Or Bored with Friends. It's a book club style show where we just discuss things other than board games, like comic books, movies, TV shows, just all sorts of pretty much anything, really. Also, check out our YouTube channel, And All the Nerdy Fun, where we're going to have video reviews of different board games. All the podcasts are available on there to listen to, and who knows what other projects might show up. If you really enjoyed this show, reach out to us on Twitter and let us know, @BoredWithFriend. Like us on Facebook, or give us an iTunes review. Always helpful. Or head on over to our website, boredwithfriends.blogspot.com. Either way, thanks for listening.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be. All right, ready? Oh, Maisie's on this episode.
What are you barking at? No. I don't appreciate that at all. That's rude. You just went outside. You don't have to go again. You just want attention.
I mean, yeah.
It's like, yeah, duh.
This is totally the blooper at the end of the episode. All right.